important meeting. Last year, I participated at the Kenya Urban Forum in Naivasha, where we reflected on the need to develop adequate capacity to serve rapidly growing urban populations by investing in the radical expansion of essential housing, water, energy, transport, sanitation, and other pieces of infrastructure that would support urban planning and the reality that we live with, that the future is urban. I don't know whether it's correct to say the future is urban, or is it the present and the future is urban. It has been clear for some time now that the future of humanity is urban, and this trend applies to us in Kenya, where urbanization has been steadily growing at the annual rate of about 5%. In fact, at independence, it was 8% of the population in 1963 lived in urban centers. Today, we are at 34%. Projections indicate that this trend will continue, with urban populations expected to reach 50% by 2050. It is equally evident that lack of coordination and planning has deprived us of the numerous benefits of urbanization. Consequently, important economic drivers of development as well as high living standards lead to proliferation of insecure and unsustainable settlement patterns, which undermine dignity, security, safety, and health, while also driving environmental degradation. Looking at our cities today, looking at our urban settlements today, Hinga keeps reminding me that we have 1,410 informal settlements in Kenya, where there is no road network, scarce water, poor sanitation, sometimes no electricity, and people live in very bad conditions. And it is a stark reminder to us as leaders that there is something that urgently needs to be done to sort out the future. Because the future is urban, we must sort out urban settlements. As a matter of national policy, we are committed to enhancing urban governance and management, and with the aim of implementing effective development planning in a manner that promotes robust urban investment and the provision of inclusive, high-quality social infrastructure in all urban areas and cities throughout the country. If there is an intersection between the bottom-up economic transformation agenda's program of housing and this KUSSIP program, it is because both are aligned in making sure that there is sufficient infrastructure to support urban dwellers. And therefore, this KUSSIP 2 program is clearly in tandem with our plan on urban housing, because one cannot do without the other. We need the infrastructure, we need proper planning, we need roads, we need sanitation, we need stormwater management, we need non-motorable transport to be able to facilitate movement in urban areas. But if people are living in slums, it becomes not so much of a benefit. That's why a combination of our plan on social housing, on affordable housing, with this program makes a wholesome program for our cities. Urbanization, ladies and gentlemen, is both a fundamental driver and critical outcome of rapid economic growth. Kenya's under-urbanization presents an opportunity to establish a solid foundation for urban development, thereby improving economic opportunities and living conditions for millions of citizens. And let me contextualize this. The governor of Nairobi tells us that Nairobi will have 10 million people shortly. For us to remove that pressure from Nairobi, it is important for us, like the way we came up with devolution. Devolution was supposed to decongest the center and create alternative centers of growth in different parts of Kenya. Our urban planning must also give us the same opportunity. We need to decongest Nairobi and the other 5 or so major metropolises so that we create alternative settlements in smaller towns, in smaller municipalities, because we all understand that there is now competition between land that we are using for food production and land that is used for settlement. And therefore, townships, towns, and cities will give us an opportunity to remove the pressure that currently is on agricultural land by making sure that we settle people in urban centers so that we can free land that is used for agricultural production to feed the nation. Therefore, from where I sit, we have really an opportunity. Even as we think about the municipalities, I don't think the municipalities take away from the counties. In fact, I think they build the counties. They assist the counties in making sure that pressure is not concentrated on a few towns. And the more we improve governance, the more we improve facilities in the municipalities, the greater the opportunity we give ourselves to remove pressure from the large cities. It is also the reason why we discussed about the county aggregation industrial parks to try and create alternative centers of value addition, agro-processing, possibly manufacturing. It is also the reason why today we have 6 new special economic zones targeted at exports. Again, away from Nairobi, away from Mombasa, into towns like Sagana, into towns like Thika, into Naivasha, into Nakuru, into Busia, and we will continue to expand those facilities so that we make sure that we create real alternative centers of growth, working with counties as we manage this imminent urbanization. Well-managed urbanization is integral to our economic development agenda, aligning with Vision 2030 and the attainment of sustainable development goals. Our investment in infrastructure expansion, connectivity enhancement, and overall accessibility, safety, and security improvements are informed by the fact that urban areas are the epicenters of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We must therefore be involved in designing and implementing the institutional architecture necessary to manage these vital investments. Accordingly, the Kenya Urban Support Program 1 has enabled us to establish foundational institutions that will drive our sustainable and inclusive urbanization agenda. Primarily, this will be the 77 municipalities as well as 2 special municipalities across 45 counties. This is a substantial portion of the 300 urban areas identified in Kenya, 220 of which require development investment in order to achieve our urbanization policy objectives. I am therefore encouraged that Kenya Urban Support Program 1 delivered the foundation from which we shall now proceed to actualize our ambition of holistically achieving sustainable urban development by enhancing the resilience of infrastructure and services, engaging the private sector in urban planning and development, and integrating refugee camps with host communities. We all agree that our urban development strategy requires sustainable financing, but this has not been forthcoming at the levels expected. It is crucial, therefore, that the World Bank's 350 million or 46.5 billion funding for the second Kenya Urban Support Program is utilized responsibly and optimized for maximum benefits. Let me say this. We've been informed here that KUSSIP 1 was satisfactory. I think that tells us something. Satisfactory is not good. We just managed. Maybe we got a C or something. I think it is important, and it's now a reminder for us, that KUSSIP 2 must be excellent. We must all work together towards making KUSSIP 2 a real game changer. And several components have been put there to make sure that this succeeds. I'm very happy that the World Bank country director has said that there is 100 million to support this program on capacity building. It is very important that that money is deployed to make sure that this program is understood and this program succeeds. Capacity building is very important because it gives us the framework and the understanding so that the implementation of this program can move seamlessly. I want to ask the World Bank to make sure that the resources, at least for capacity building, comes ahead of any other resources, so that those in municipalities, those in counties, staff in our ministry can understand this program to avoid wastage, to avoid pilferage, to avoid corruption, and to avoid theft. Because the reason why we were qualified as satisfactory is because certain things did not go properly. We must get it right this time round. I want to commit to my colleagues, governors, and leaders here that we will go out of our way to assist you to make sure that this program is implemented in an accountable manner so that the people of Kenya get value for the resources that eventually we are going to pay. Equally critical is the county governments to increase on-source revenue and to allocate a greater portion to urban development activities. For our part, the national government is establishing the National Urban Development Fund to anchor the urban development agenda in a sustainable framework. I have already asked the Ministry of responsible for lands, housing and urban planning, and Treasury to sit together so that we can put a framework in place that will give us the resources, working with other partners, to assist us manage the big cities and urban areas so that Sakaja doesn't have to complain that they are left out in this program. But Sakaja has mentioned one more very important thing, that municipalities, cities, and urban areas bring Kenyans from all walks of life into one place, and they create a home there. It helps in the homogeneity of our society, bringing Kenyans together, working together. I think it is a very positive thing. It is not a negative thing when Kenyans come and live together and bond together. That is the future. And I think we should encourage townships, municipalities, cities, because that way we not only remove pressure from land for agricultural production, but we also bring Kenyans into a space where we deal with the challenge of ethnicity that undermines our nationhood as a people. There is no doubt that climate change will continue to pose mounting challenges to our development and serious threats to human health and safety, especially in urban areas, where 60% of residents live in informal settlements. I say this statement of 60% with a very heavy heart, because informal settlements, ladies and gentlemen, are very unhygienic, very indecent, livelihoods where Kenyans live. And we must do whatever it takes. Using the resources we have under COSEP will help us do planning. These resources will help us deal with stormwater, will help us deal with sewage, will help us deal with lighting, will help us deal with titling and organizing our informal settlements. And our housing plan will help us have decent homes for these Kenyans. We have close to 7 million people in Kenya living in informal settlements, and they deserve our attention. The ongoing flooding, owing to abnormally high rainfall, underscores the urgent need for us to address this issue with very particular and specific attention. I am therefore delighted that the second urban support program has a strong climate change mitigation and resilience component, which further demonstrates our commitment to build adaptable cities and communities that are resilient in the face of dynamic environmental risks. In particular, the focus on the most vulnerable through building climate resilience for the urban poor is very commendable, and I will be looking out specifically for municipalities, cities, and towns that are keen on making sure that we support the urban poor. The synergy between the Kenya Urban Support Program and our bottom-up economic transformation agenda is unmistakable. In particular, the program's alignment with the affordable housing strategy pillar presents a unique opportunity to invest in urban infrastructure that supports the realization of the affordable housing objectives in order to deliver holistic, sustainable, and inclusive urban development. As we embark on implementing the second urban support program, we must take advantage of both the achievements and lessons of its predecessor, the most salient of which is the seamless coordination and effective partnership between the national and county governments. The State Department of Housing remains our focal point and must redouble its effort to ensure the project's success is achieved. And I'm very happy staff of the Ministry of the Department of Housing are here to listen to me say this. It is very important. With their tremendous contribution to GDP, our urban areas are significant economic engines and centers of technology development and innovation. In fact, the 5 largest cities alone account for over 70% of our total GDP in Kenya. It follows that their governance and management matters fundamentally for national development. It is critical that county governments prioritize the establishment of full-fledged urban institutions with robust governance and management. Again, I heard Hansen say clearly that they are also going to use resources to support the governance of these cities. I want to ask my friends governors, it is a mark of very strong leadership if you can delegate and if you can make sure that these municipalities have some measure of autonomy for them under your supervision to make sure that they deliver on the program that you give to them. It is really a mark of very strong leadership if you can assign other people to do the job at that other level. Of course, still under your management and supervision. And I think this program will be keen on how governance relations between the municipalities, the cities, the counties, of course, and the national government, how we relate for the better delivery of this program. I take this opportunity to appreciate with gratitude the support of the World Bank, whose investment and leadership have done so much for the transformation of our centers of accelerated development. We do not take your partnership, Hansen and your organization, for granted. We believe this partnership is a partnership that gives us a win-win outcome. It is also important for me to thank the participating county governments for their commitment, which has been demonstrated time and time again over the course of this initiative. I look forward to witnessing a more urgent, focused, and ambitious approach to this program. Let me say this in conclusion. As I have said, this program talks to an imperative that we cannot change: urbanization. As to whether the future is urban or not, I think we have settled that subject. The future is urban. It is now up to us. Are we going to have towns, municipalities, and cities that are planned, or are we going to leave it to be chaotic and confused? The responsibility is ours. Now, with KUSSIP 1, we made some strides. We saw a lot of non-motorable transport, several hundred kilometers. We saw a lot of stormwater management. We saw a lot of sewage extension programs. We saw planning of different parts of cities. We now have an opportunity to scale that up. And the resources now we have will give us an opportunity. As we do housing, you have the opportunity working with us to make sure that that program dovetails into this KUSSIP program in terms of where you choose to deploy the road infrastructure, where you choose to deploy our sewage management system, where you choose to deploy non-motorable pathways and those other programs, how we plan cities more. We have agreed that the program of housing is going to be done in conjunction with the county governments. The Housing Fund now has representation from multi-stakeholders so that we can all move together as we plan our cities. As I have said, there is $100 million, Hansen, did you say, for capacity, $1 million. $1 million for capacity building. Those resources are important, as I said, so that we can improve on the governance, we can improve on the understanding, and it gives us better leverage on the understanding to deliver on this program. So again, we appreciate the $100 million, the $1 million, sorry, and I will ask the National Treasury, in the event that there is need for that kitty to be expanded, we should expand that kitty for greater understanding and greater knowledge, so that we can make sure that all those who will have an opportunity to deliver on this program have the requisite understanding, so that we don't get a satisfactory outcome, we get an excellent outcome this time around. Let me also say that there's a component that has been said contextualizing this program about on-source revenue. I know when we spoke about on-source revenue, there is a bit of discomfort. But let me say this. Of the money we have here is $300 million. That's about 40 billion. That 40 billion is a loan. It is not free money. And it is money that has been contributed by other countries. And those countries have had to collect money from their citizens to give to World Bank, so that World Bank can loan to us. It's just as simple as that. It means even as we use other people's savings, we must begin to grow our own savings. That is the message. Because this loan we have to pay. It's not free money. So we must begin to internalize own source revenue. The same way nationally we are internalizing raising our own taxes. It is just as simple as that. There is no free lunch anywhere in the world. Even as we clap for the World Bank, and they are very good people, and they are friends, but this is money we will pay. You know, when we say we thank the World Bank, people think they have given us money. They have loaned us money. So to understand, to elewane. So as we look for the loan, at the back of our minds, we must be thinking, in future, how do we make sure we don't have to look for a loan? We will build our own capacity to raise our own resources. So, my friends, governors, let us also focus on on-source revenue. It will make your work very easy. I like the conditions that have been attached to this money. You know, I was speaking to the chair of the Council of Governors there, and he was telling me, it looks like we will never get this money. They have said, go do this, you must do this, and then do this also. But that's what it is, you know. This is money we have to pay, so we have to make sure that there are sufficient conditions that make sure that it doesn't get lost. So, I would encourage us, and the World Bank have been phenomenal in support for Kenya. We must be grateful. But you can see, even as they give us this money, they are reminding us that you must use it well and you must pay. So we must think about how to raise our own resources as well. That will go a long way in making sure the partnership between us and the World Bank is meaningful. The World Bank must also know that we appreciate their money, but we are also doing something about raising our own resources. Let me say this in conclusion, that the partnership we have, and the very positive partnership, now that we have our housing program, we have COSIP, and we have what majority of counties are working with us towards the delivery of this plan, because we all appreciate that the future is urban. We must also build an urban future that integrates all the communities of the Republic of Kenya. This urbanization must help us solve the question of ethnicity and give Kenyans a chance to live together. And why do I say that? Amongst the two cities, the ones Professor Kindiki talked about, is Dadaab and Kakuma. So Dadaab and Kakuma, we have communities who don't come from Kenya. These are communities that come from elsewhere. But what have we done as a country? We have said, if somebody has stayed for 30 years in Kenya, their children have been born in Kenya, they certainly belong to Kenya. And therefore, we need also to support them with livelihoods. We need to support them to do business. We need to support them to grow the towns. So let me ask you, if we are giving an opportunity for people who are not even Kenyan, why shouldn't we support other Kenyans to live in all the towns that we have in Kenya? I mean, it just makes sense. That should be the case. That's the natural. Because we now live in a global village. We like it, we don't like it. As we are talking, we are busy signing another 19 bilateral labor agreements for Kenyans to go and work in other people's cities. So we must reciprocate by making sure that those people from other areas also have a home in Kenya, the way Kenyans have homes in other cities of the world. So we need to work together in that direction. And I'm really proud of the partnership between the national and county governments and our partners, the World Bank and all the other agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, the second phase of the Kenya Urban Support Program is now officially launched. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Asante sana.
One more round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I request that you take our seats briefly, Your Excellency, with your permission. If we may take our seats briefly once, Your Excellency. And to symbolize the commencement of the refugee window, we will now have signing of the Intergovernmental Participation Agreement. And allow me to now call His Excellency Nadhif Adam, Jama Adam, Governor Garissa County,